There's something strange about the way some people become symbols, not celebrities. Symbols. The kind that stop feeling human after a while. You see their face everywhere for so many years that your brain stops asking questions. They become part of the background of life itself. But if you slow down for a second and really think about this one character, it gets unsettling fast. Because behind the cheerful image, behind the exaggerated optimism and the harmless personality everyone remembers, there's actually a story about survival, pressure, loneliness, and the terrifying weight of always needing to be happy no matter what's happening around you. And honestly, most people completely miss it because they only remember the smile. What makes this character so strange is that he was never supposed to become this powerful. In the beginning, he was small, underestimated, constantly surrounded by bigger personalities, louder worlds, and more chaotic people. But somehow, he survived every generation. Wars happened. Entire industries changed. Technology evolved faster than anyone imagined. Characters disappeared. Franchises died. Audiences moved on. And yet somehow, this one stayed. That alone should already tell you something unusual is happening here, because characters normally age with their era. This one didn't. He adapted, again and again, almost like he was designed to feel eternal. And the weirdest part is how carefully controlled his image became over time. Think about it. Have you ever truly seen him angry for long? Broken? Lost? Hopeless? Not really. Even when chaos happens around him, he always returns to that same controlled optimism, that same familiar energy, almost as if the world around him is allowed to change, but he isn't. And when a character reaches that point, they stop being treated like a person and start becoming something else entirely. A brand, an icon, a permanent face that carries expectations nobody could realistically survive under. Imagine waking up every single day knowing millions of people expect you to represent happiness itself. No mistakes, no darkness, no real evolution, just endless positivity forever. But there are cracks if you pay attention closely enough. Tiny moments where exhaustion slips through. Moments where his patience disappears for just a second before the smile returns. Moments where it feels like he's desperately trying to hold together an image built decades ago. And maybe that's why people connect to him without even realizing it. Because deep down, a lot of people understand what it feels like to wear the same emotional mask every day. To become the version of yourself everyone expects instead of the version you actually are. That's why this character survived longer than almost anyone else. Not because he's the strongest. Not because he's the smartest. But because he represents consistency in a world that constantly changes. And there's another detail most people ignore. He's almost always surrounded by others, yet somehow he still feels isolated. Think about the worlds he lives in. Loud personalities, explosive energy, chaos everywhere. Yet he's usually the calm center holding everything together, the responsible one, the familiar one, the safe one. And ironically, being the safe one is probably the loneliest role of all. Because the safe ones don't get to fall apart publicly. Everyone depends on them staying recognizable, stable, predictable, comfortable. What's even more fascinating is that newer audiences often don't understand why older generations are emotionally attached to him. To younger people, he can seem simple, almost outdated. But older generations see something different. They remember childhood mornings, old televisions glowing in dark rooms, family trips, simpler moments. He became attached to memory itself. And once a character becomes tied to nostalgia on that level, they stop existing as normal fiction. They become emotional architecture. Part of people's lives in ways even they can't explain. And maybe that's the biggest clue of all. This character isn't remembered because of one story, or one movie, or one dramatic moment. He's remembered because he quietly existed beside people for their entire lives, decade after decade, smile after smile, generation after generation. Always there, always recognizable, almost impossible to escape. which is honestly incredible when you remember how tiny and harmless he originally looked compared to the empire that eventually formed around him. Now think about it, you've definitely seen this character before, but do you actually recognize who he is?
You knew him, didn't you?